The phone buzzed like a hornet trapped in Levi's pocket, jolting him awake at 2:17 a.m. In the dim glow of his Seattle studio apartment. He fumbled for it, heart slamming against his ribs, and saw the caller ID Dad. No voicemail icon yet, but the screen lit up with a notification, new message, and when he pressed play, his father's gravelly voice cracked through the speaker like shattered glass. Levi. Son. I can't do this anymore. God. Your voice. It's always been in my head, mocking me right back. The line went dead, leaving only static and the sudden, suffocating weight of 27 years of buried screams. Levi's hand trembled as he replayed it, the words slicing deeper each time, until the device slipped from his fingers and clattered onto the hardwood floor. He curled into himself on the unmade bed, the city rain pattering against the window like indifferent applause, and for the first time since coming out at 17, he wondered if silence was the only voice he'd ever truly own. Rain-smeared streets of Capitol Hill blurred past as Levi navigated the early morning fog, his beat-up Honda Civic coughing like it shared his exhaustion. It was barely 7 a.m., but sleep had been a lost cause after that voicemail, a ghost from his father that clawed at the edges of his fragile peace. Levi's voice, high and lilting even in manhood, had always been the punchline in their small Oregon townhouse. Ladies' man? More like the whole damn choir. His dad, Harlan, a retired mill worker with calluses like armor plating, had turned every dinner into a roast session. His booming laugh echoing off the knotty pine walls while Levi shrank smaller, forcing his words into gravelly imitations that fooled no one. He'd fled to Seattle 5 years ago, chasing barista gigs and open mic nights where his falsetto could pass for art instead of aberration. Now, at 27, Levi poured lattes at a hipster cafe called Brew and Belong, slinging almond milk foam art of soaring birds and fractured hearts to tech bros who tipped in crypto apologies. It paid the rent on his shoebox apartment, but the real lifeline was Mason, his anchor, his storm, the man who'd crashed into his life like a rogue wave at Pride last June. Mason Hayes, 30, with sun-kissed forearms from weekend kayaking on Lake Union and eyes like smoked quartz, worked as a graphic designer for a nonprofit fighting housing inequality. They'd met under a rainbow archway, Levi belting out a shaky rendition of Defying Gravity on a makeshift stage, his voice quivering not from fear but from the sheer audacity of being seen. Mason had pushed through the crowd afterward, handing him a business card scrawled with "Your voice just redrew my skyline." Coffee? Levi had laughed, nervous, melodic, and said yes, because in Mason's gaze, there was no mockery, only hunger. Their first date was at Pike Place Market, dodging tourists while sharing salmon skewers and stories. Mason confessed his own scars early, a conservative Texas upbringing where faggot was currency, a brother who'd disowned him after his wedding toast included a quiet nod to his husband. "I learned to code emotions into pixels," Mason said, sketching a quick heart on a napkin with his stylus pen. "Safer that way," Levi, emboldened by the salt air, admitted the voice thing, how Harlan's jabs had wired him to whisper in public, to let others order for him. Mason leaned in, thumb brushing Levi's jaw. "Sing for me sometime." The real you, that night, back in Mason's loft overlooking the sound, Levi did. A cappella covers of Joni Mitchell and Frank Ocean, his voice unfurling like silk in the candlelight. Mason pulled him close mid-chorus, lips tasting of Merlot and promise. "That's not a weakness," he murmured against Levi's throat. "That's your superpower." They made love slow and deliberate, bodies mapping each other's fault lines, until dawn painted the sheets gold. But perfection was a Seattle myth, as fleeting as a cloud break. 3 months in, the cracks showed. Mason's job demanded late nights, his phone a constant hum of deadlines, leaving Levi to dine alone with Netflix and takeout. "I'm building something for us," Mason would say, pecking his forehead before vanishing into his home office. Levi nodded, but the quiet amplified his doubts, the old echo of not man enough slithering back. He started voice lessons online, practicing low registers in the shower, terrified that one wrong note would send Mason packing. The voicemail from Harlan arrived like a seismic fault line, right after their biggest fight yet. It was Halloween, the city pulsing with costumed revelry, and Levi had dressed as a drag version of David Bowie, glittered cheekbones, a voice thrown into ethereal highs for the bar crawl. Mason, stressed from a grand pitch, snapped when a tipsy stranger catcalled Levi's performance. "You're drawing eyes like a goddamn beacon. Ever think about toning it down?" The words landed like Harlan's old barbs, and Levi stormed out, heels clicking fury on cobblestones. He'd crashed at a friend's, waking to Mason's texts, "I'm sorry. Come home." But pride kept him away until the next evening, when he found the blinking light on his phone. Harlan's voice, slurred, perhaps from whiskey, unraveled everything. "Your voice." Mocking me right back. What did it mean? Harlan hadn't called in years. Not since the terse Christmas card that read "Proud of you, kid." Mostly. Levi's thumb hovered over callback, but he deleted the app's history instead, burying it under layers of denial. Work that morning was a haze. Customers blurred into avatars. The yoga mom with her oat milk decree. The venture capitalist barking for extra kick. No frills. Levi's hands shook as he steamed milk, the hiss drowning his thoughts. By noon, his manager, a pierced pixie named Riley, clocked it. "Spill, barista boy. You look like you mainlined decaf." Over a shared scone in the back alley, Levi played the voicemail on speaker. Riley's eyes narrowed, her tattooed arms crossing like shields. "That's not regret. That's projection. Your dad's unpacking his own baggage on you." She squeezed his shoulder. "Mason, no. Not yet." Levi traced the rain puddle at his feet, distorted reflections of neon signs wavering. "He thinks my voice is everything. What if this makes him see the cracks?" Riley snorted. "If it does, he's not the guy." She lit a clove cigarette, exhaling wisdom. "But talk to him. Bottling this? It's like fermenting regret. Turns sour fast." Levi nodded, pocketing his phone like contraband. The afternoon dragged, each ping of the door chime a reminder of voices, customers, his own suppressed one. He texted Mason, "Missed you last night. Dinner at home?" The reply came swift. "Hell yes. Ty, and I love you, Glitter King." As closing time neared, the sky cracked open, dumping sheets of Pacific Northwest gray. Levi locked up, hood up, and dashed to his car, the voicemail replaying in his head like a cursed loop. "I can't do this anymore." Do what? Live with the son who dared to sound like himself? Or something deeper? A confession Harlan had choked on for decades? Pulling into Mason's building garage, Levi's resolve frayed. The loft elevator hummed a scent, depositing him into warmth. Garlic naan steaming on the counter. Mason in sweatpants, hair damp from a shower, grinning like absolution. Ziggy Stardust returns. He pulled Levi into a hug, strong arms erasing the night's chill. I was an ass. Let me make it up. Over pad thai and Pinot Grigio. Levi almost spilled it, the voicemail, the venom-laced nostalgia. But Mason's foot hooked around his ankle under the table, a tether of normalcy, and the words lodged in his throat. Instead, they talked costumes and deadlines, laughter stitching the seams. Later, tangled in sheets, Mason's breath hot on his neck, Levi whispered, "Sing with me." Mason hummed along to Wicked Game, their voices blending, Levi's light, Mason's baritone, a fragile harmony. Sleep came fitful, dreams of Harlan's mill saws grinding Levi's throat to silence. He woke to Mason's alarm, coffee brewing, and a post-it on the mirror, "Your voice is my favorite song." Always. Guilt twisted like a knife. How long could he carry this alone? The week blurred into routine. Shifts at the cafe. Evenings with Mason sketching logos while Levi read scripts for an amateur theater group, his secret outlet for unfiltered song. But the voicemail festered, a shadow in every conversation. On Thursday, Riley cornered him again. "You ghosted the drama. Spill to Mason, or I will." "Fine," Levi sighed, wiping counters with vigor. Tonight, that evening, Mason surprised him with tickets to a Frank Ocean tribute at Neumos. The venue throbbed with bass, bodies swaying under strobing lights. Levi lost himself in the music, voice rising in the chorus, Mason's hand firm on his waist. For a moment, the world was soundproof. But as they stumbled out into the drizzle, buzzed and buoyant, Levi's phone vibrated. Unknown number. He ignored it, but Mason noticed. "Everything good?" "Yeah." The bubble burst on the drive home, when Mason flipped the radio to a classic rock station, Harlan's staple. "Remember that time you tried singing Springsteen? Sounded like a cat in a blender." Mason chuckled, affectionate tease, but Levi flinched, the old wound reopening. "Pull over," he said, voice pitching high despite his effort. Mason did, tires hissing on wet asphalt. "Lev, talk to me. The dam cracked." Levi played the voicemail, Harlan's rasp filling the car like exhaust. Mason's face hardened, jaw clenching. "Jesus. That's abuse." Wrapped in nostalgia, he reached for Levi's hand. "Why didn't you say sooner? Scared it'd change us." Levi's eyes stung. "My voice, it's always the villain. What if hearing this makes you see me different?" Mason cupped his face, thumbs wiping tears. "Your voice is why I fell. The rest? It's noise." They kissed fierce, rain drumming the roof like applause. But doubt lingered, a whisper that this confession was just the prelude to fracture. Friday dawned brittle, the kind of Seattle gray that seeped into bones. Levi called in sick to the cafe, claiming a migraine, but really, he needed air, space to breathe without the weight of unspoken histories. Mason had kissed him goodbye at dawn, murmuring, "Therapy today." "For both of us," Levi nodded, but as the door clicked shut, he felt the loft expand into emptiness. He wandered Queen and Hill, boots splashing through leaf-choked gutters, past Victorian houses with gingerbread trim and views that stretched to the Olympics like unanswered prayers. Harlan's call gnawed at him. "I can't do this anymore." "Do what?" The silence since Levi's coming out had been a mercy, or so he'd told himself. Post-high school, Harlan's jabs evolved into grunts, acknowledgement without warmth. Levi's move to Seattle was framed as chasing dreams, but it was escape, pure and raw. His phone buzzed. Riley. You okay? Mason texted me. Said it's heavy. Levi typed back. Processing. Thanks for the nudge. She replied with a string of rainbow emojis and slay the ghost. King. By noon, he found himself at Cary Park, the iconic overlook where tourists snap selfies with the Space Needle piercing the clouds. He sat on a damp bench, sketching absent-mindedly in his journal, swirling lines that became a throat, choked with thorns. A voicemail couldn't rewrite paternal rejection, but it could unearth it, force confrontation. Levi dialed Harlan's number, heart jackhammering. It rang 4 times before the old man's voice, thinner now, answered. Levi? That you? Boy. Dad. The word tasted like rust. Your message. What the hell was that? Silence stretched, broken by a cough, wet, labored. Cancer, Harlan rasped. Stage 4. Docs give me months. Been thinking. About all of it. A pause. Heavy as fog. Your voice. I ragged on it, 'cause it reminded me of your mom. Soft. You know, after she left, I took it out on you. Made you the villain so I didn't have to be. Levi's breath hitched. Mom had split when he was 8, chasing a painter to Portland, leaving postcards that dwindled to nothing. Harlan never remarried, burying grief in Budweiser and Bellows. You mocked me for years. Called me a sissy. Made me hate the one thing that makes me. Me. I know. Harlan's voice cracked. No gravel left. I'm sorry, son. For all of it. The hiding. The pretending. I should have said I love you, gay, straight, whatever. Just you, a wheeze. Come see me before it's too late. The line went dead, but the echo lingered. Levi sat frozen, rain beating on his lashes, until a jogger's dog nudged his knee, pulling him back. Love, from Harlan, felt like a trapdoor, step wrong, and plummet. He drove to Mason's therapist's office in Belltown, a converted warehouse with exposed brick and succulents in every corner. Mason emerged, looking wrung out but lighter, his flannel untucked. Group session on family trauma. Brutal, but good. He slid into the passenger seat, reading Levi's face like a mood board. You called him. Yeah. Levi recounted it, words tumbling: cancer, apology, the gut punch of conditional grace. Mason listened, hand on Levi's thigh, a steady anchor. That's huge, Mason said finally. Messy, but huge. You gonna go? Oregon's a haul. And what if it's pity? Last-ditch absolution? Mason turned, ice fierce. Or what if it's real? You deserve that closure. We road trip it. Turn it into something, us against the ghosts. The idea ignited something. That weekend, they packed Mason's Subaru, cooler stocked with IPAs and hummus, playlist of road anthems from the National to Chapel Roan. Levi added voice memos, his own, practicing affirmations in the mirror. Your voice is enough. As they merged onto I-5 southbound, evergreens blurring past, Mason cranked Ocean Eyes, singing off-key until Levi joined, harmony blooming. The drive was catharsis. Pit stops at roadside diners where Levi ordered boldly, voice unmuted, drawing smiles from waitresses who called him honey. They detoured to the coast, Toes in the surf at Cannon Beach. Haystack Rock looming like a sentinel. Mason proposed a game. Voice confessions. Levi started. I fear you'll leave if I get too loud. Mason countered. I worry my walls are too high, that I'll forget how to let you in. Night fell in a motel off the highway. Neon vacancy buzzing like a heartbeat. They made love urgent. Hands exploring as if memorizing. Levi's fingers in Mason's curls. Mason's lips tracing collarbones. I love every note, Mason whispered. And Levi believed him, if only for the night. Astoria welcomed them Monday morning, the Columbia River mouth churning like unresolved emotion. Harlan's trailer sat on the outskirts, sagging under ivy and regret, the yard dotted with rusted truck parts. Levi knocked, Mason a solid presence at his back. The door creaked open, Harlan in a flannel 2 sizes too big, chemo-bald head gleaming under the porch light. Levi, his eyes, watery blue, flicked to Mason. Who's this? Mason. My partner. Levi's chin lifted, voice steady, high, unapologetic. Harlan nodded, stepping aside. The living room smelled of Vicks and microwave dinners. Photos on the mantel frozen in time. Levi at 10, gap-toothed grin. Harlan and Mom on their wedding day, her laugh captured mid-bloom. They sat awkward, Harlan in his recliner, Levi and Mason on the sagging couch. Coffee, Harlan offered, but his hands shook too much. Water's fine. Mason's tone was neutral, protective. Talk started stilted. Weather, Harlan's treatments at the VA clinic. Then, the pivot. That voicemail, Harlan said, eyes on his lap. I was drunk, but true. Your voice, it's hers. After she left, I couldn't hear it without breaking. So I broke you instead. He met Levi's gaze. I was wrong. Scared. Man up, I said. But you did more than me. Levi's throat tightened. You made me feel like a freak. Like loving who I love was a punchline. Harlan winced. I know. Church folks, the mill buddies, they whispered. Easier to lash out than face it. A tear tracked his cheek. I'm proud, Levi. Of the singer, the fighter. Wish I'd said it sooner. The dam burst then. Levi's sobs raw. Harlan's arms opening for a hug that felt like absolution. Mason watched, hand squeezing Levi's knee, his own eyes glistening. Lunch was takeout fish and chips. Stories flowing. Harlan admitting he'd streamed Levi's open mic clips online. Anonymous likes from a throwaway account. Kept tabs. You shine, kid. They left at dusk. Harlan pressing a faded photo into Levi's hand. Mom holding baby Levi, her smile a echo. Sing at my service, he said. Your way. The drive back was quieter, healing. Mason pulled over at a viewpoint, stars pricking the sky. You were brave. He kissed Levi slow, hands warm. Proud of you, but peace was prelude. Back in Seattle, Mason's phone lit up incessantly. Work crisis. A donor pulling funding. He dove in, nights stretching thin. Levi, buoyed by Oregon, threw himself into theater auditions, landing a role in a queer retelling of Rent. Rehearsals meant late calls, and soon, their orbits skewed. One night, post-rehearsal high, Levi came home to Mason on the couch, laptop glowing, a half-empty bourbon beside him. Rough day, Levi asked, voice lilting with empathy. Mason rubbed his temples. Grant fell through. Layoffs looming. A beat. Heard about your callback. Congrats. Thanks. Levi leaned for a kiss, but Mason turned, pecking his cheek absently. The dismissal stung. They fought over nothing, dishes, then everything. You're always performing, Mason snapped. When do we get real time? My voice, my art, is real, Levi shot back, pitch rising. Or is it still too much? Mason recoiled. That's not God. Levi, I'm drowning here. He stormed out, leaving Levi with the echo of slammed doors. Hours later, a text, at a bar. Need space. Levi paced, the Oregon glow tarnished. Was this the shatter, the voicemail's curse rebounding? Rehearsals for Echoes of the East Village became Levi's sanctuary, a warehouse theater in Fremont where spotlights forgave imperfections. He played Angel, the drag performer with AIDS, ironic, raw, his voice soaring in arias of loss and love. Director Zara, a non-binary force with a buzz cut and boundless energy, pulled him aside after the first table read. You've got ache in your timbre, Levi. Lean into it. It's gold, gold. Harlan's word, repurposed. Levi texted him updates, nailed today for you, thinking of Mom's laugh in the lyrics. Harlan replied slow, chemo fogging his thumbs. She'd love it. Break legs, son. The exchange mended something, a thread pulled taut across state lines. But home was fraying. Mason's layoffs hit like a squall. Half the team gone, him clinging to freelance scraps. He withdrew, sketching alone in the loft's corner, bourbon bottles multiplying like regrets. Levi tiptoed around it, brewing strong coffee, leaving voice notes of silly impressions to coax smiles. Hey, it's your personal ASMR. Rain on tin roofs, but make it sexy. One cracked a grin, but the next sparked ignition. Can you not? Mason said, voice edged. I'm buried in pitches. Distractions kill momentum. Levi froze, mid-hum. I'm trying to help. Help by giving space. Mason's eyes, shadowed, flicked back to his screen. The silence after was arctic. Levi retreated to the bedroom, scrolling old voicemails, Harlan's apology on loop. A bomb turned bitter. I broke you. And now, was Mason breaking too? Or was Levi the fracture point? His voice the eternal irritant? Thanksgiving loomed. A minefield. Mason's family was Texas exiles. His sister neutral. Parents a no-fly zone. Levi's invite to Harlan's trailer was tentative. If you're up for it. Mason too. Harlan, doors open. Turkey's on me. They drove south again, tension thick as the Willamette Valley fog. Mason gripped the wheel white-knuckled. Playlist muted. This feels like obligation, he muttered at a rest stop, vending machine coffee steaming in his hand. It's family, Levi said softly. Messy, but ours. Yours, maybe. Mine's a postcard. Mason's jaw ticked. And after, back to auditions and deadlines. We're ships. Leviticus, the word ships echoed. Prophetic. Harlan's trailer glowed festive. A store-bought bird carved with unsteady hands. His neighbor, a wiry veteran named Cal, joined buffer and storyteller, regaling with war tales minus the trauma. Harlan, Freilier, raised a toast. To voices, ones we hear, ones we heal, his eyes on Levi, proud. Mason softened over pie, sharing design dreams for queer youth shelters. Harlan listened, nodding. Sounds like building homes. Good work, son. The endearment landed for Mason, a flicker of thaw. But the drive back was autopsy. That was nice, Mason admitted. Real. Yeah. Levi reached for his hand. We can be that. Real. Mason squeezed, but his phone buzzed urgent email. He glanced, face falling. Client bailed. Fuck. I'm sorry. Levi's voice pitched sympathetic, but Mason flinched. Not now. The car swerved into silence. December barreled in, echoes ramping to previews. Levi's understudy flaked, thrusting him into leads. Nights of fevered lines, days of hoarse recovery. Mason's freelance dried up. He took a soul-crushing gig at a corporate ad firm, commuting to Bellevue in traffic hell. Dinners became solo affairs, Levi reheating pad thai while Mason crashed on the couch, laptop his pillow. The betrayal brewed subtle, a slow poison. Levi noticed the late nights, not deadlines, but bars. Mason's breath, whiskey-tanged, when he stumbled in at 1 a.m. Networking, he'd say, avoiding eyes. Levi swallowed doubt, focusing on blocking, Angel's death scene, a spotlight fade on trembling falsetto. Christmas Eve, the loft strung with lights Mason had hung half-hearted. Levi baked gingerbread, voice warbling carols to fill the void. Mason came home early, coat dusted with snow, pulling him into a desperate kiss. Missed this. Missed you. They decorated the tree slow, ornaments clinking like toasts, bodies pressing close. Lovemaking followed, tender and reclaiming. Levi's moans high and unbridled, Mason's responses fervent. But dawn brought the shatter. Levi woke to Mason's side cold. A note. Went for run. Love you. Hours passed. Panic set in. Noon. Mason's key turned, but his face was ashen, eyes red-rimmed. We need to talk, the words every heart dreads. They sat at the kitchen island, coffee untouched. Last night's client? Not just work. Mason's voice cracked. It's Derek. From college. We hooked up once. Years ago. Ran into him at the bar. One drink turned to more. Levi's world tilted, the stool legs scraping like screams. More. Texts. A kiss. I stopped it, but Mason buried his face. I'm lost, Lev. The job, the pressure, your success shining while I'm dimming. Felt like escape. Betrayal bloomed hot. Levi's voice rising shrill despite the ache. Escape? For me? My voice too loud now. Huh? The freak show? No! Mason lunged, hands grasping. It's me. My insecurities. You're everything, talent, heart. I panicked. Levi recoiled, tears scalding. You mocked it all along. Subtle, but there. Toning it down. Distractions. Echoes of my dad. Mason paled. I never God. Lev. That's not. But it was. The pieces clicked. Every flinch. Every not now. Levi stood. Voice a whip. Get out. I need. Everything out. Mason left. Duffel slung. Door a final thud. Levi collapsed. Sobs racking. The tree lights mocking merriment. He called Harlan. Voicemail spilling, he cheated. It hurts like you said it would. How do I sing through this? Harlan called back, weak but steady. One note at a time. Son. You're stronger than my mistakes. New Year's Eve. Echoes open to acclaim. Levi's Angel a revelation. Reviews praising his haunting, vulnerable tenor. Standing ovations blurred through tears. Mason's empty seat in the house a void. Backstage. Zara hugged him. Breakout star. Proud. But the high crashed in the alley. Snow falling soft. Levi's phone lit. Mason. Watched from the back. You were magic. Can we fix this? Maybe. Levi typed. Heart warring. But trust was a shattered pane. Beautiful in fragments. Lethal to mend. January gripped Seattle in ice. Rehearsals for the run a grind. Levi threw himself in. Voice therapy sessions rebuilding not just pitch but power. Harlan's updates darkened. Hospice soon. Come if you can. Levi booked a flight. Solo space his armor. The hospital in Astoria smelled of bleach and finality. Harlan in a bed like a raft adrift. Hey, kid. His smile. Skeletal. Levi sang, Light My Fire. Mom's favorite voice filling the room. Nurses pausing in doorways. You're a star, Harlan whispered after. Forgive an old fool? Already did. Levi held his hand. Bones fragile as sheet music. Love you, Dad. Harlan passed 3 days later. Voicemail his last gift. Sing loud. Levi. For us both. The funeral was small, Cal. A few mill vets. Levi in a black turtleneck. Voice eulogizing. He taught me silence hurts worse than sound. Mason showed. Distant row. Eyes pleading. After. In the graveyard mist. He approached. I'm sorry. Therapy. Sobriety working on me. For us. Levi's heart twisted. I see you trying. But the echo. It's loud. They parted ambiguous. A hug lingering too long. Spring thawed Seattle slow. Cherry blossoms carpeting Capitol Hill like confetti from a stalled parade. Echoes ran extended. Levi's Angel drawing queer pilgrims who lingered post-show for selfies and stories. Your voice saved me, a teen whispered one night. Eyeliner smudged. Levi hugged him fierce. Harlan's photo tucked in his wallet, a talisman against doubt. Mason's texts persisted. Coffee? Neutral ground. Levi dodged at first, burying in scripts for a pilot audition, a queer coming-of-age series. His tape submitted with a cappella demo. Success hummed, but loneliness echoed louder. Riley hosted game nights, her loft a haven of board games and banter, but Levi's laughs rang hollow. One drizzly April afternoon, post-yoga, he relented. They met at Zoka, a Fremont nook with mismatched mugs and indie folk crooning. Mason looked sharper, hair trimmed, as clear. A new freelance logo for a trans clinic on his tablet. 6 weeks sober, he said, stirring oat milk. Derek was a wake-up. Rock-bottom clarity. Levi nodded, tracing latte foam. Good. You deserve steady. Us. Mason's voice tentative. Hope threading. Levi's chest tightened. I miss you. The us before fractures. A beat. But trust. It's scarred. Mason leaned in. Let me earn it. Slow. Dates. Not declarations. They tried. First. Volunteer at a food bank. Packing boxes side by side. Mason's jokes landing soft. Levi's voice, chatting with clients, drew Mason's gaze, admiring, unshadowed. Dinner followed, at a vegan spot in Ballard, candlelight flickering over falafel. Mason shared therapy breakthroughs. My fear of losing control? Is Dad's ghost, not yours. Levi confessed the funeral ache. Harlan's final voicemail playing faint on his phone. Mason listened, hand over Levi's, tears unshed. Intimacy crept back tentative, a handhold in the market, a goodnight kiss at the door. May brought Mason's birthday. Levi booked a kayaking tour on the Sound, wetsuits chafing as they paddled tandem, seals barking approval. At sunset, beached on a pebble shore, Levi sang Yellow, high, unfiltered, Mason's head on his shoulder. That's home, Mason murmured, and they made love in the tent, waves lapping rhythm, bodies rediscovering trust. But conflict coiled, insidious. Mason's corporate gig demanded travel, Portland pitches, LA meetings, leaving gaps Levi filled with late-night songwriting, demos for agents. One weekend, Mason extended a trip, networking bonus. Back Monday, Levi agreed, but Sunday's silence bred paranoia. A drunk dial at 2 a.m., Mason, slurring bar noise. Just drinks with the team. Miss you, the old venom surged. Levi hung up, heart pounding, scrolling Derek's Instagram, blocked, but ghosts lingered. Morning brought Mason's apology bouquet, but Levi confronted, team or temptation? Mason's face crumpled. Team. Swear. But I see it. How my slips echo your pain. He knelt, vulnerable. I'm all in, Lev. No more shadows. June pride pulsed electric. Rainbows reclaiming streets. They marched together, Levi's voice in chants, Mason's arm linked possessive. The afterparty at Numos throbbed, drag queens lip-syncing gaga, bodies grinding sweat slick. Levi danced free, high on belonging, Mason's hands on his hips acclaim. But Dawn's regret hit hard. Waking tangled, Mason's phone buzzed, email, not text. Levi glimpsed, Derek, great catching up. Drinks soon? Heart stop. He slipped out. Cab to his old studio, sublet hasty. Keys reclaimed. Mason's calls flooded. It was work overlap. Nothing. Levi silenced. Curling fetal. Voice reduced to whimpers. The betrayal's second act unfolded raw. Mason showed at noon, pounding the door. Let me explain. Levi cracked it. Ice puffy. Explain what? Another team player. Derek's firm merged with mine. Colleague now. The email professional. Mason's plea cracked. I forwarded it to you. See. Levi checked. See seat. Innocuous pitch notes. Relief ward with rage. Why hide it? Fear. Of this. Mason gestured. Your hurt mirroring mine. I panicked. Deleted the thread. The truth landed. Mutual fractures. Self-sabotage in tandem. Levi stepped aside. In. We talk. No bourbon. They did hours on the fire escape. Rain a curtain. Mason admitted, I sabotage when scared. You shine, I dim. Levi echoed. Your slips make me small. Like Dad's mocks. Tears mingled. Promises forged. Couples therapy. Transparency apps. Date nights etched in ink. Summer deepened. Healing tentative. Levi's pilot callback led to chemistry reads. opposite a brooding actor named Theo. Sparks professional but chaste. Mason cheered callbacks, designing mock posters. Levi's face ethereal. Tagline, "Hear me roar." Harlan's urn sat on the mantel, a quiet witness. August heatwave baked the city. They escaped to the Olympics, backpacking Hurricane Ridge. Trails wound steep. Levi's voice calling birdsong. Mason's laughter booming. Camp. Under stars like scattered diamonds. Mason proposed, not ring, but vow. Marry me? Not today, but someday. Build the life. Levi's yes was song high, joyous. They made love to cricket chorus. Bodies a symphony. But climax brewed in September. Echo's closing gala a whirlwind. Investors circled Levi for the pilot. Mason's firm promoted him. Derek reassigned cross-country. Relief, but undercurrent. A donor dinner. Mason's invite solo. Policy, he said. Spouses later. Levi nodded, but doubt festered. Gala night. Levi performed finale. Angel's aria. Voice-shattering glass. Standing ovation. Mason in front row. Eyes wet. After party at the Paramount. Champagne flowing. Levi mingled. Agent buzzing. Network test next week. Mason pulled him aside. Alcove dim. Proud doesn't cover it. Kiss deep. Possessive. But his phone vibrated. He glanced. Paling. Shit. Derek, emergency pitch. Now? Levi's voice pitched sharp. Can't bail. Love you. Mason fled. Tuck's tails vanishing. Alone. Levi drank deep. Conversations blurring. A producer cornered him. Your sound raw. Ever consider Broadway? Flattery warmed. But Mason's absence chilled. Midnight. Cab home. Levi's phone pinged. Anonymous screenshot. Mason at the dinner. Arm around Derek. Laugh too intimate. Caption. Old flames? Rage ignited. Levi stormed the loft. Mason arriving rumpled. Explain this. Mason's eyes widened. Photoshopped bullshit. Derek's arm, group shot. Cropped. He pulled his phone. Texts proving. Stayed professional. Home to you. But the seed rooted. Levi hurled accusations. Always an out. Your escapes. My echoes. It's cycle. Mason fired back. And you? Spotlight chasing. Leaving me bench. The fight escalated, plates shattering. Voices raw. Levi's high wail. You break me like he did. Mason's baritone roar. I fight for us. Neighbors banged walls. Silence fell. Shattered glass crunching underfoot. Mason grabbed his bag. Space. Again. But this time, choose. Us or the ghosts. Door slammed. Levi sank. Sobs oceanic. The voicemails shatter complete. Harlan's. Mason's. His own. October winds stripped leaves from the maples. Seattle's gray deepening to elegy. Levi canceled the network test. Exhaustion. Not defeat, retreating to the studio. Walls papered with rejection slips turned art. Therapy solo now. Zara's voice in his head. Lean into ache. He wrote. A musical fragment. Shattered echoes. Songs of fractured tones and mended hearts. Mason's absence was vacuum. No texts. Blocked number. Mutual friends tiptoed. Riley, he's wrecked. Give it time. Levi nodded. But time stretched elastic. Snapping back pain. Harlan's ashes. Scattered at the coast per his wish. became pilgrimage. Levi drove alone, urn empty but memory full. At the shore, waves gnashing pebbles, he sang eulogy anew, voice carried on salt wind, free. A voicemail to nowhere, Dad, is shattered. But I'm singing. November brought frost, the city hunkering. Levi subbed barista shifts, voice low for orders, high for buskers on corners. One evening, post-shift, he buskied himself, Hallelujah Cohen style, falsetto weaving through traffic. Coins clinked, a crowd gathered. Among them, Mason, disheveled, eyes hollow. Applause faded, they stood islands. Heard you were here, Mason said. Couldn't stay away, Levi's heart stuttered. How? Stalked the cafe Insta. Pathetic. I know, Mason's smile wry. Can we walk? Parks edged the sound, benches slick with dew. They sat, space between like chasm. Mason spoke first. Therapy's gutting me. The sabotages rooted in shame. Not you. He pulled a folder. Letters, emails to Derek, closure, boundaries drawn. He's gone. For good. Levi traced the bench grain. I blocked you to heal. The screenshot. It was poison. From a jealous colleague. HR handled it. Mason's hand hovered, then dropped. I get if it's over. You deserve unscarred. Silence hummed, waves lapping judgment. Levi's voice emerged soft. Scars make the song. But trust. This opera now. Not duet. Mason nodded. Start small? Friends. Friends. Tentative bridge. Winter solstice neared. Shortest day mirroring their night. Levi invited Mason to the Shattered Echoes reading, an intimate cabaret at a soda warehouse. Queer artists sharing works in progress. Mason came, front row. Sketches in lap, visuals for Levi's score. Unasked gift. Levi performed raw. Ballads of mockery and midnight calls. Voice climbing peaks. Dipping valleys. Mason's eyes, through spotlight haze, held steady love, unmocked. After, over mulled wine, Mason unveiled the portfolio. Scenes of Oregon trailers, Seattle lofts, two figures entwined under rain. Our story. If you'll have it. Levi traced a panel, Harlan's photo integrated. Smiling. It's us. Fractured, but whole. They kissed then, slow as solstice dawn. Forgiveness in the press. Passion banked but building. No rush to loft. Instead, a walk to Levi's studio. Hands linked against cold. Love rebuilt deliberate, therapy tandem. Twice weekly. Unpacking voicemails and vices. Mason quit the firm. Launching indie designs for LGBTQ+ causes, his fire rekindled. Levi's musical gained traction. A workshop funded. Voice lessons honing not change but command. Spring equinox. They road-tripped Oregon, Harlan's grave a stop. Flowers laid. Song sung. At the coast, Mason knelt proper. Ring simple. Silver band etched with notes. Marry my mess? Levi's yes soared. Voice free. Wedding small, Pride Month. Rooftop vows under Seattle spires. Riley officiated. Zara sang backup. Cal flew in. Toast gruff. To voices unbroken. Honeymoon kayaked the sound. Nights in a cabin with fireplace glow. They made love laughing. Levi's highs blending Mason's lows. Harmony hard won. Years folded. Shattered echoes off-Broadway. Levi's Tony whisper. Mason's studio thriving. Murals city-wide. A son adopted Theo, 5, with a giggle like mom's, home filled with trios, voices overlapping in chaos sweet. One midnight, phone buzzes, not ghost, but Theo's nightmare whimper. Levi soothes, falsetto lullaby, Mason joining bass. In the dark, Harlan's echo fades, not shatter, but foundation. Levi whispers to the ceiling, we sang through it, and in the quiet, the world listens.